So today is going to be show and tell. But first, quick medical update. Went to have blood work done today. Thank goodness my sister is willing to drive me to these things and keep me sane, because we waited 50 minutes for them to take one vial of blood. Also asked them to take my blood pressure and record my weight, because they're not necessarily tracking my weight at this point, it's still early on, but because of the edema and fluid loss that I've had, I weigh like 24 pounds less than the last time they weighed me not that long ago. So it's like, can we just have this on record? And then my sister and I were thinking that like all this water, all this fluid loss that could lower my blood pressure, but actually my blood pressure was high, for me, high, like compared to the average person, still not so high. My top number is extremely rarely to be above 120, and it was 150 something. So I was freaked out. It's like, it's all relative. So my sister is buying me an automatic blood pressure cuff just to put my mind at ease. So that and many other things, thus today is show and tell, because one of the things that when I first came home from the hospital, I knew I had cancer. Didn't know a lot of details at that time. We didn't have all the tests. We just knew you've got cancer. And so I immediately had this mentality of like, some stuff's gonna have to change. Like, my life is about to get complicated, and some of the things that normally mean a lot to me that I prioritize, not so much. So for example, one of the things that I do is I keep all my cardboard. So all the number of Amazon boxes that have come to my house recently, and bags, which I reuse. The bags, like now they have like the bags that are like a box. They make really great bags, garbage bags for the bathroom. So I reuse those. Anyway, I would save my cardboard, and it used to be one of the two things that you could really recycle here locally in my town, because there was a buyer for it. But cardboard recycling market is kind of, the prices have gone way down, and there's way more supply than demand. And so, economics 101, they don't have a buyer right now. So they're not actually, anything they pick up, they're just going to landfill. And when I say pick up, I have to drive it to the place where it's picked up. Nothing is picked up in my house. Regular trash, which is today's trash day. But recycling, curbside recycling, we don't have that here. The other thing I do is I am pretty anal about this. Metal is, any kind of metal is infinitely recyclable. It can be recycled over and 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 over, forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. So, and these are also resources that we dig out of the earth at great expense to people who are in the mining industry and our environment. And there is a limited amount of this in the earth. You can't plant seeds and buy and grow new stuff to make aluminum bauxite, I think. I'm not sure if I'm remembering that correctly. I'm going to blame everything on cancer brain that I don't remember today scientifically. So I do still, this is the one thing that I will still recycle. Cans and tin cans, like metal cans, food cans, drink cans, any kind of metal. Everything else, what I used to do was all my paper, plastic, anything that was accepted in the town that's about 45 minutes south of me, I would load up my car every couple of months with all of my recycling. And there's one dumpster that I know of in downtown Tallahassee that accepts recycling. It's a recycling dumpster, and I would take all my recycling and dump it there, and do my best to follow whatever the rules are, right? Like one of the things on their website is like nothing smaller than your fist. So like really tiny plastic, soft plastic, right? So stuff like this, most cities can't take those kinds of things in curbside or standard recycling. Depends on how new the MRF is, the materials facility they have. So Before my sister and her husband even left my house that first day, I was like, all these things in the garage, you can go ahead and take them to the trash. Because it's just not, clearly this is not something that I'm going to ask the people in my life to do for me. And clearly it's not something I'm going to be able to do. That was very hard to accept, but I had no problem really. Like, it was momentarily hard. And it's momentarily hard now when I throw away things that I used to set aside. But it is what it is. And the reason that's really important is I've spent a decade building a brand and building a mentality, which I have to actively work on because it's not my natural instinct, to say, do what you can. And sometimes you can't do it all. And that has to be okay. Because it's too much. It's too freaking much. It's too much pressure to expect people to be perfect all the time. And life throws us these things. It's just like, well, this thing I used to do. So there are some things that you notice more when you're going through something like this, or any kind of, like, I'm sure, again, back to the baby analogy. I never had a baby, but I would imagine for anybody who's watching this, who's recently had a baby or a grandbaby, you know that ungodly amount of stuff that you just have to have around. So much stuff, right? So similarly, there's stuff like this, right? Every time, and this is in my house, right? Never mind the hospital. Like, so today I went and got blood drawn. Every time a needle is stuck in me, I get like reams of this stuff, right? And these things, a lot of these things, depending on what they're made out of, a lot of them never break down, right? I mean, obviously this is cotton, so it's a natural fiber. It would eventually break down, but some of these things take decades, centuries, or literally never break down. If it has any petroleum in it at all, it never breaks down. I mean, if you think about what petroleum is, it never breaks down. So there's just all this stuff. And then there's like how things come packaged. I mean, why do those have to be packaged like this? Look at all that packaging. I know they're dissolvable, so I get it. I understand. And that's the way you gotta package it. There's stuff I'm not going to give up, like using cloth handkerchiefs. That's what I do. Done that for a decade now. That's easy enough. So some things I don't have to compromise. Then there's stuff like this. Okay, so I have a thermometer. Need to take my temperature, right? Measuring watching my post-chemo side effects. So I've got my little thermometer here, which turns out to be a complete piece of crap because it was not giving us a reading that could be trusted. So my sister, lovely person that she is, ordered me a new one that she uses and likes and trusts. And so, okay, now what? What do I do with this? Well, first of all of this is going in the trash because I no longer can deal with trying to figure out, actually, wouldn't be accepted. That would be, but yeah, at this point, it's going in the trash. Now, but what about this? Another thing I'm very, very keen on is making sure that we properly recycle electronics. Our usage as a society of electronics is so far outpacing our ability to properly recycle electronics. There's a lot of precious and valuable metals that are in electronics and a lot of toxins. And so when these things end up in the landfill, they end up leaching toxins into the water. That's what ends up in our groundwater and can impact us. And unfortunately, when things are not properly recycled, when it comes to e-waste, it gets shipped to other countries where they turn a blind eye and don't pay attention. And so that's why poor neighborhoods, poor areas of countries in the developing world especially have this kind of stuff shipped to them so it can poison them instead of us. There are some things that, oh yeah, the mask. I have to wear these now everywhere I go. And people who visit me wear them. So there's, the daily disposal of that. Of course, COVID revealed so much of this stuff to us, right? So, and then, okay, there's all of these. Like, I don't even know how many of these I've thrown away now, right? So like, this prescription, I've taken some of these, but like, it took up like this much of the bottle for this prescription. But how often do we get these massive bottles for like that much medicine? And there is something to be said for like the air that's needed in packaging and stuff, but come on, this is ridiculous. So ridiculous and so frustrating. So I wish I had a place that I could take those. I've heard before that like humane societies and places like that will take, like if you take the labels off of them, because they can use them for handing out meds to, you know, for like adopted pets and stuff. But again, I don't have the bandwidth to figure that out right now. So just a note to self for later. Things like this, I usually would use reusable towels, which I still do a lot. But I got some things like this that are disposable just because as I get weaker and tireder, by the way, I'm feeling so good today because I went to acupuncture yesterday. I'm like a poster child for acupuncture now. And I was like, I just want to have more energy. Bing! Like, I have more energy. I'm really feeling very good today. But anyway, as I get tireder and weaker, there are things that I'm already thinking about, like, well, how can I make my life easier? Because I live alone. And while yes, people will come over and help me, how do I make it easier for them? And how do I make it easier for me? So disposable wipes. I bought some little compostable small plates and bowls because I have heavy dishes. I love my dishes, but they are very heavy. Apparently you can end up getting sort of a really bad taste from metal utensils when you're going through chemo. So I've invested in some compostable cutlery, which of course comes in plastic. At least they're not individually wrapped in plastic. The water bottles I use, my sister got me these. I love these Auroras, but they're very heavy. And when I was having some really tough days, I was like, I can only fill it, like I can't fill it up because it's so heavy. So she bought me a new one. And of course it comes wrapped in plastic, even though it's practically freaking indestructible. So now I've got a new little Aurora that's so much lighter. So little things, you know, that you got to think about. She also bought me these little belly comfort candies, which of course are individually wrapped, as anything like that is ever going to be individually wrapped. It just is what it is. And then there's all these things I bought that I'm like when I was having the edema, I was so desperate to have freaking underwear that would fit. It was because imagine 20 extra pounds here. Like it's just like suddenly, right? So I was kind of like, oh God, what do I need to get? Well, I need to get some compression socks. I love these with a little doggy. So I ordered 2 different sets of compression socks because I'm like, I don't know what kind I need. Some they were like, there's different compression strengths and I don't know. So now I've got like, I don't know, 10 new pairs of compression socks. I mean, yeah, it is good to wear these when you're doing chemo for the neuropathy and stuff like that. But I mean, come on, now I have 10 pairs of compression socks. Lots of new underwear. One of the packs of underwear I bought, like, I didn't know. I was like trying to figure out, like, I just temporarily need some underwear that fits. Yeah, anyway, long story short, I've got some really great brand new clean underwear I've never worn and never will wear. But I've also got some great new underwear that I am wearing and feel very comfortable in, made of bamboo. So then there's all these like single use packages. Today, when we were waiting forever for my blood work appointment to happen, I was starting to get, as I was saying earlier, my sister, she talks me off a ledge. I was like, can I go complain? We've been here for like 35 minutes and all we're here to do is get blood work. She's like, no. Her husband works in healthcare and she's trying to help keep all of this very positive. So I bless her for that. I thank her for that. But thank God I had this in my purse because I just started eating myself some little crackers and I felt much better. And so just for convenience, you know, throw in a bag. Like we went to, you know, shortly after my surgery, we went to the emergency room and we were sitting there for hours. I was just like, oh, wow, I'm going to need to be prepared for stuff like this, you know? And so I also ended up getting these little, like, I feel like I have the diet of a 4-year-old when I show things like this, but these are amazing. They're so packed with all kinds of vitamins and just, I love these little things. I bought all kinds of little flavors, but man, talk about like the plastic and there's just environmentally, there is nothing good about this. I hate to say, I'm so sorry to say. It is USDA organic and non-GMO project, so good on them for that. And unfortunately, it's not like this particular company is doing bad things. there just aren't really great solutions for this, like unless you're just making all your own stuff, right? And some people do that. I mean, my sister made a lot of my great niece's baby food when she was born. That's really great. But when you're, going through chemo, not your priority. No. I do my little daily liquid IV. So there's all of these little single use, and I'm sure I could buy a big canister with a scoop. But again, this is just like, I don't know. I mean, today that sounds okay, like something I can handle. But as I think about some tough weeks and months ahead, I just want things to be easy for myself and the people around me. And that's how we ended up where we ended up. That's why as a society, we have, 10 boxes a person from Amazon on our front porch every day. That's why we get to this place, because it's so easy to make excuses and to explain away why I need all of this stuff, right? So I try to do the little things I can do, like, okay, this is my dog's dog food. When these empty out, I use them as trash bags, especially for like food and things like that. I used to compost. That was the other thing. My sister would come and take my compost. But again, first of all, not only I'm not going to take the time to do that, and the hassle, even though it's really not that difficult a thing to do normally, I'm not eating as much fresh food that I would compost, right? So we don't compost like cheese and meat and things like that. I'm buying a lot more prepared items, like the section of the grocery store with the soup that comes in the plastic container in the refrigerated section. It was really delicious. I don't usually buy things like that. I make my own soup if I'm going to do stuff like that. But I've bought some jars of soup and containers like that of a lot more frozen vegetables, which because of that, last night I made an amazing filet mignon and cream spinach. My dad got me some filet mignons from Costco, and it doesn't take a lot. It has so much protein and so delicious, and some cream spinach. And I made that very easily. But, there's going to be times where it's just like, I want to be able to throw together something really, really quick, or I need to be able to ask someone else to do that for me. And I want it to be very easy. Like, hey, open up that bag in the freezer and just throw a few vegetables in the air fryer and I'll be good. So, you got to think about the convenience for yourself and for others. So it's hard for me to compromise, I guess, sacrifice in these ways. But I think that this is why I try to have so much understanding in meeting people where they're at when they have to have all these things, and it's hard to make excuses. It's hard to justify the time, the energy, and the expense of doing things better and different, right? I'd love it if we lived in a world where that was an easy sell, but it's not, and it's the career I've chosen. So I take all this to heart, right? I really think about this personally and think about the journey of other people. And sometimes people just don't even care. I mean, they don't even understand and know why these things are a problem in the first place. They either choose to be blind to it, or they've been convinced, unfortunately, by the wrong groups of people that these things aren't problems and that we don't need to care. But for those who care, even if they care a little bit, they start to care more and more and more. I see that in the people around me. I see the changes in the past decade, especially in the people in my life who aren't as concerned about these things and will suddenly say like, oh, the other day I did so-and-so, you'd be so proud of me. It makes me really, really happy to hear things like that, because we all have a million little choices to make. And some days we have good days where we can make really good choices. And some days are hard, and we have to make choices that are unfortunate for the planet and for the communities around us, but are just necessary for us in the moment. So this isn't I've got the perfect solution for you kind of video, but this is coming from an honest, realistic place that I am usually coming from when I'm standing on a stage or talking on a webinar, trying to teach people how they can empower themselves and those around them to make better choices. So not sure if I taught you much today other than let me know if you need compression socks or new underwear. I would encourage you to invest in handkerchiefs. So much better. I haven't bought a box of Kleenex. I bought one box of Kleenex in the last like 5 years. So you can save a lot of money too. I encourage you that if you have a voice in any place where you can start to make a little difference, like why is it that Walgreens or any, it's not just Walgreens, would only have in stock the type of bottle, like, or why would someone choose that? Is there a process that could be done differently? Is there some sort of, I don't know, something that could be scanned that would show like, oh, use this size bottle? Is there education? Like, what is it in your world that you do that can help move the needle just a little bit? And thank you for whatever it is you're doing. I may not hear it or know it, but I know that most people who are watching me or interested in what I have to say are people who also care about these things. And so whatever it is you're doing, I'm grateful, and I'm super grateful that you're giving me this place and space to share my voice and to talk about things that, while they can't be my top priority right now, they are still the core of what I'm about.